Yes, it's Widdis. Young Widdis back with another one. Yeah, it's one of those ones where I just dive in, eh? Just dive in, no prep. I do this shit last minute with the prep. Let's get it. I am a grinder. Let me see if I can't find that clip for you. I do this shit last minute. I can't type very fast. And then on top of that, I'm typing with one hand. Yeah, dude, it's me back with another one. Yeah, it's basically like a... Oh, fuck, I can't find it. I am a grinder. A verb, yeah, it was a verb, wasn't it? Yo, this is so funny. Why did he say... He said this because, like, I think he had a rebuttal. He had to rebuttal off the top. So this is battle rap. So this I'm presuming, dude, because this guy's pretty good. I'm presuming that this was his off-top material. So yeah, he just had to like come up with something on the spot, and it wasn't exactly great. So this is what I referenced in the beginning of the video. Hold on, let me turn up the volume because this shit's so funny, dude. I miss that girl so much. I'm gonna get into that in a moment, but.
I do this shit last minute with the prep. Let's get it. I am a grinder.
I knew. You watch this, like he's gonna redeem it. Now watch this. Watch what, bro? Watch what? Hold on. In addition to that, he has another one. I think this time around instead of I was about to say this time around instead of saying that he's a grinder, he said that he's a rooster. This guy's so funny. That song is pretty cool, by the way. Yeah, Evo is just a very funny guy, man.
I came in this game, made noise, woke niggas up early. I am a rooster. I came in this game, made noise, woke niggas up early. I am a rooster.
That line is lame, right? But the couple of lines that he said after that were kind of cool. And yeah, he essentially, it's clear that he came up with those last lines first, but then he had to come up with an initial line to lead up into those lines. So which is why the beginning line wasn't fly, it wasn't cool, or it wasn't tight, you know? Yeah, so he needed to establish the rhyme scheme essentially. So he goes on to say, well, he says, came in this game, woke dudes up early, I'm a rooster. And then he goes on to say, you steal and flip shit, you is a booster. That's a cheap way to get around. Your style is Uber. That's a bar. That's a heavy bar, dude. And he came up with that on the fly. You know, so on the fly, dude. Because I think his opponent, like he's like Averb said, like his opponent will steal and just repurpose bars in a rap battle. Steal other rap battlers' bars and repurpose his own. So that's why he called him a booster. Because boosters flip, they flip, but then what they flip is like cars, which leads into the next line. That's a cheap way to get around, because you flipped the car, you resold it. It's a cheap way to get around. In other words, it's a cheap way to get around, but then like in addition to that, that's a very That's a very low way to, go about your material, stealing it and repurposing it. It's I won't say very, but it's quite layered. You as a booster. I think a booster is a person who resells cars specifically. But then in extension to that is a person who repurposes stuff. So you call him a booster, guy who's just repurposing his bars and stuff, his material. That's a cheap way to get around. And then he ties it back to cars by making the Uber bar. That's by saying it's a cheap way to get around. I.e., to expand on that, it's an affordable way to get places. It's a cheap way to get around. It's an unskilled way of going about coming up with material. Your style is Uber. And I think when he said that, people were like laughing a bit. But honestly, I was, blown away by that. So shout out A-Verb, man. What a weird way to start a video. I spent 6 minutes explaining that. Yeah. I'm just here, chilling. Just had dinner. Yeah, stuff is kicking off, dude. Today is the 25th. I reached out to my developer, the Cape Coastal Reverberator developer. He let me know that he's got some issues going on at home. His family's like a bit sick, specifically his daughter, and he told me that he'd get back to me on Monday, and I felt so bad about that. I was like, not bad, but bad because of the fact that I reached out, but then bad because of the fact that that's the case. Like I feel bad for the dude. See, I didn't want to hear about such sad news. That they're sick, I guess. So I'm presuming he's got like a little daughter who's especially susceptible to, and I'm presuming it's the flu, who's especially susceptible to the flu because, yeah, he did say that the whole family's got it essentially. So I'm guessing it's one of those viral, colds or whatever that specifically or that, especially affect those who are younger. So I told him, I was like, dude, I'll be sending prayers your way, and yeah, I told him no worries, it's all good. So God, may you, didn't actually get around to praying for the guy, so I'm going to do it right now. God, may you please heal my developer and his family, especially their daughter. May you, and I hope you guys have your eyes closed while I'm doing this. May you remove the sickness, and may you replace it with your healing and your love. Cover them, O Lord, in your blood, in your precious blood, and drive away the pain that they might be in. In your name, your mighty name, amen. Just a quick little prayer type thing, yeah, dude. So we'll be starting on Monday, and that's great actually, because Sunday's when I'll be like pretty much done talking to all the potential shareholders that I need to talk to, that I scheduled to talk to. Because I believe Sunday is when I'll get the chance to just go to a little establishment and sit down, maybe at a little cafe or something, sit down with the last shareholder that I wanted to talk to and just give them the rundown of everything. And I kind of didn't want to start development before then, but then I didn't mind doing so because I knew development was going to take like over a month. So it didn't really matter if development started like a few days before I got done talking to my shareholders or like a few days after. But I feel like if it starts after, I will have all the necessary confidence to head into the development phase, because once I'm done talking to my potential shareholders, right, What I then do is I talk to my agent, as I've been calling her. Really, she's the company registration service provider consultant lady, right? Who facilitates a lot of the services that have to do with companies and stuff. What I do is I give her the information of all the potential, or like give her the names of all the soon-to-be shareholders, right? And then she contacts them, and then she facilitates. I almost said fertilitates. She facilitates the whole share transfer with them. Yeah, and I like that method because it really does assure my shareholders that this is bigger than just me, dude. You know, like they've got like some lady on behalf of not only the company registration service provider, but on behalf of my enterprise as well. You know, talking to them and giving them a rundown. So it's not just me. It's not just the guy that they're familiar with trying to, you know, get them invested, you know, whether financially or just metaphorically, in this greater than life kind of concept. You know, it's coming from a legitimate source that they can fact check, you know, before and after the fact of the call that they'll be receiving from the company or the representative of the company or the service provider. So they'll be receiving that call. It'll pretty much be confirming everything that I spoke to them about, and it'll pretty much be the sealer, the call that will set everything in stone. So they'll be allocated shares and stuff, and the shares will be on their names or in their names, and then from there, what I then do is I'll get like certificates from the company registration service provider through her, because she's my consultant / agent, and yeah, I'll be printing those out, and I'll be sure to print them out at like a nice little, you know, place. The certificates will feel very certificate-y. It won't just feel like A4 paper, to further drive home the legitimacy of this, I guess. So I'll be doing that, and then I'll be handing them to the shareholders, and it'll be tangible, and it'll be physical, and it'll be a sign, an indication that they have equity in this company that is Faux-Physical, you know. And then from there, I'm not sure if I spoke about this on this channel or whatever, but I intend on just giving, because I'm basically speaking to close friends, right? Reliable people. That's typically the first people you speak to whenever you want to, you know, issue shares or get shares or whatever. It's typically friends and family. So I've gone and I've spoken to friends, reliable friends. So what I'm doing is I'm giving them the shares to the company, a lot of the not a lot, but a bit of the shares to the company, before they sort of, you know, hold up their end of the agreement and, you know, put in the necessary, or like the agreed upon funds, you know, into the company. And I'm doing it this way because it'll be a nightmare to try to get everyone on the same schedule to purchase shares, and to make it legitimate that they're acquiring these shares by means of purchasing them. You get what I'm trying to say? Because doing that is going to be, I can imagine it's going to be like a whole procedure, and just the whole schedule thing, because not everyone is on the same wavelength in terms of the funds. Not everyone's going to be ready to, you know, cough up the funds at the exact same time. So I've decided to do it this way. Yeah, and I brought up the fact that they're close friends, so they're not going to take off or anything. You know, it's reliable. There's a 99% chance that things are going to go right in terms of the payments and whatnot. So Yeah, another thing I wanted to bring up is the fact that you can basically just, as a director, you can basically just issue out shares for whatever reason. It's not necessarily a transactional kind of, or like a monetary exchange. I could give you shares because you I don't know, you shook my hand the right way, So it's not like bound at all to funds or whatever. So, but I did make it clear to them that I'm issuing these shares as a means to generate that last little bit of capital that Faux-Physical does need in order to launch just to launch the Cape Coastal Reverberator V1, because that's why I chose to exchange the shares for cash. Like I said, you can exchange them for whatever. You can give them out for free. You can exchange shares for work, for favors, But yeah, I chose to exchange them for funds because I need that. Because I don't want to sit here and say that I underestimated the costs of developing the Cape Coastal Reverberator. But what I will say is, I think I might have spoken about this before. I was misled into thinking that development of the Cape Coastal Reverberator was lower than it actually is. Now, would I have known that it wasn't that low had I had like a decent amount of knowledge when it comes to this kind of thing, like beforehand? Yeah, because you'll remember this is my debut pedal, dude. So I've essentially learned as I went. I'm at a point where I've pretty much learned everything that I need to learn when it comes to developing, at least in terms of like financing a pedal. I've learned everything that I need to learn, and I've got a pretty firm understanding of the cost that I need to go into developing a pedal, right? But at first, I like I said, I don't want to say that I underestimated it. I was misled, dude, because I spoke about this. My previous developers, they gave me a certain price. When I got to that price, they suddenly switched up on me and said that, no, you're nowhere near. You remember that price that we said we'll develop the Cape Coastal Reverberator V1 at, or like develop it for? Yeah, that's no longer anywhere near the price that you'd have to cough up in order to develop it or to have it developed. So yeah, but it's a learning, whatever the hell. It's a learning process. So yeah, I'm really excited. I'm scared, dude. Like I'm excited and scared at the same time. From what I understand, or from what I went on to learn, those are pretty much the exact same emotions. We just perceive them differently. So yeah, Sunday, I'm sitting down with my last soon-to-be shareholder, and I'm just giving him the absolute breakdown of the not just the product, but Faux-Physical as a whole, dude. And he's gone and made it clear to me that, because like I said, he's a friend, he's a close friend. All of the people I'm speaking to are close friends. Though I was interested in reaching out to strangers and stuff like that, but as you can imagine, strangers were a bit reluctant, or they would have been reluctant. Let me not make it sound as if like strangers did reply. I didn't reach out to like strangers. I was thinking about making it public that Faux-Physical equity is, up for grabs in exchange for, funds and stuff, but I chose not to take that route because I anticipated that I anticipated that a lot of my audience weren't going to be able to capitalize on that, no pun intended, because essentially what I need are like South African citizens. You could do this with like abroad people, and then that's like a procedure that I'm not even trying to head to. And then B, I've forgotten the point that I was going to make. In fact, I've forgotten how I even got to this stage. So, yeah, back to the whole. That's the thing about like putting tangents inside of tangents inside of tangents. You can never really like retrace your steps. So, sitting down with the dude, giving him the breakdown on Sunday of what the product is, what Faux-Physical is, and yeah, he let me know right out the gate off the bat that, and this is obviously I haven't broken down the concept to have pretty much haven't told him anything aside of the fact that I've gone ahead and I've opened a PTO and I'd like to talk to him about it. But he essentially just let me know right out the gate that, yeah, dude, just want to support whatever this is. I'm looking to be very supportive, and I want to support whatever this is that you've got going on. So it's very clear that his involvement in all of this is coming from a supportive standpoint, as opposed to a very supportive standpoint. Obviously, everyone here is doing it because they want to be supportive of their friend, and and like the additional, perk of them potentially getting, compensation off of this. But his main takeaway, or like his main involvement, is the whole support thing, whereas everyone else is like fairly concerned about what they'll be receiving from all of this. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, he essentially, I'm sure he will be as well. Like he'll be like fairly concerned about what he'll be receiving, especially seeing as he'll be coughing up money, and you don't just want your money to go to waste. But yeah, right out the gate, he let me know that he's approaching it from a very supportive, standpoint. So yeah, dude, it's looking very solid. Like the backing that Faux-Physical is getting just out the gate, dude, is looking very solid. I'm not sensing that anyone will just pull out just unexpectedly. It's looking very promising, dude. And yeah, another thing that I wanted to bring up was even in the case of me accounting for very low, chip-ins. I call them chip-ins, but then they're purchasing something. It's not like they're chipping in. Chipping in would be like if you... No, man, it is a chip-in. Because you're chipping into a greater fund of something. That will benefit you still. So yeah, I guess they are chipping in. Like I was gonna say, I've even in the case of me accounting for very low chip-ins from each respective shareholder, like Faux-Physical is gonna meet the necessary, capital that it needs to get Cape Coastal into existence firstly, and produced, not just developed. So yeah, I hope I made sense then. So another thing I should emphasize is that doing the like issuing out the shares right now to the shareholders before they cough up the funds will kind of incentivize them to take action. Because right now I can sense that there's that little limbo where they think that the ball is in my court, and I guess think the ball is in their court, even though I know the ball is in their court because we just sat down. I just explained the whole business thing. I'm waiting for you to take action, but then I sense it's one of those things where the shareholders just kind of want you to take a bit more action before they are encouraged to act, regardless of it being the turn, regardless of it being their turn to act. You get what I'm trying to say? So yeah, it's definitely gonna give them that little push that they need to act, because like I said, it will have been clear, it will have appeared that it's much greater than just me sitting down with you at Starbucks talking for 30 minutes. You will be getting calls now from like actual agents looking to get going with this procedure. I wish someone would walk up to me talking about yo, dude, I just started my company. It's in its absolute infancy. Could I interest you in some shares? I'd hop at that notion. I'll jump. Because I understand that, and not to liken every single company to Coca-Cola, but then I understand that Coca-Cola was at its infancy at a point. Now look at Coca-Cola. I understand that just every single company that is big was small at a point. So the idea that the idea that someone could just come up to me and propose this, kind of opportunity to me, I'd be happy, and I've got, not to sound like entitled or whatever the case is, but I've got dudes that I've reached out to in addition to the shareholders or the soon to be shareholders right now. Yeah, like I was saying, I've got dudes. I keep pausing because mom just keeps being a pain. I'm gonna move out of here soon. Yeah, I've got dudes in addition to the soon to be holders, right, that I've reached out to, and yeah, like I said, not to be like entitled or whatever. I've got dudes who, and I've forgotten why I even brought this up, but I brought it up. I've got dudes who, I brought it up because I was talking about how I would have absolutely exploded at the thought of someone coming up to me with, the not just an idea of a startup, but like a startup that's already off the ground, and basically them trying to get me aboard in the company that's in its infancy. Because that's one of my biggest dreams. That's all of our biggest dream. It's just that it's our dream only retrospectively, only after the fact. Damn, I should have invested in Bitcoin. Damn, I should have invested in Coca-Cola. It's our dream only after the fact. So yeah, I've got dudes that I reached out to, and their excuses could have been honestly true. But just, relating it back to me, if someone came up to me and said, "Yo, G, I've got a startup, and yeah, I need your involvement. I need your involvement in it." I would have gone crazy, I've got dudes who told me that, yeah, dude, I'd love to invest and whatnot, but thing is, right now I'm in Cape Town, and you know how expensive Cape Town is. And like I said, that could be a legitimate reason. That could be a legitimate reason, but for you not to follow up with me, because I haven't gotten word back. In fact, I've got messages ignored, as if I'm a charity case. It may seem like that at first because you need to make the initial chip in, right? But give it 2 months, give it 3 months. You're gonna see results. It's like planting a seed. Yes, you have to go to the garden and bend down and bend your knees to plant the seed. But after a while, it will have grown, and it will be feeding you. So not to sound entitled, dude. Yeah, the other guy, he was like, "Yeah, dude, that's great and all, but I've been saving up to move to Cape Town." I realize that I do kind of sound entitled here. Maybe it's because I am just so sure of Faux-Physical. I'm just so. It's like I'm peering into the future, like and I'm peering into something that not everyone can see. I've got people who believe in my vision, and I might just have people who see my vision alongside me. You've got people who see your vision alongside you. You've got people who believe in the vision that you see that they don't see, and you've got people who don't see a vision, and you've got people who don't think you have a vision. The people who kind of shooed me away without actually shooing me away don't think I have a vision. I guess my emotions stem from, or like my emotions really are based in kind of like frustration, I guess, with the lack of understanding of what I'm trying to do. I don't know, maybe I just kind of feel very like undermined, I guess. A huge daydream of mine is to just take this Faux-Physical shit as far as possible and kind of just be sat down with these dudes and be like, "Yo, dude, how was your trip to Cape Town? Or how was your, move to Cape Town?" And just to hear the results. Maybe they'll be successful, perhaps they'll be more successful than me. Either way, dude, I hope the choice that you made was the best choice, for you. Yeah, that was me talking a little bit about Faux-Physical. I didn't manage. Well, I brought it up once, but I didn't really manage to talk about that girl at all, actually, in this entire video. I feel I should keep it that way. I mean, this video is like 33 minutes long after all, In addition to that, like, how much longer can I talk about it, I can talk about it for like ages, you know that. Because like the biggest thing with her, dude, and I'm not going to talk too long about this. I'm going to turn this camera off in a little while. The biggest thing that kind of hurts, dude, it's not the fact that we're not together or whatever. It's the fact that I call it a fact. It might not be a fact. The thought and the possibility that she was genuinely trying to give me a go, and that it came across as me not reciprocating that. I beat myself up about that like quite a bit. Fuck, man. That's the biggest thing that gets me. Not the fact that we're not together, but the fact that the idea that I wasn't able to reciprocate what she might have been, sending my way. The idea that I kind of made her feel less than, or like not enough, or like unwanted even. Shit, man. I can't read between the lines sometimes. I can't do it, dude. It's because of the whole self-esteem thing. I just don't think. Like, you know, I guess I just on a base level, like, I just don't think I warrant that. I warrant that kind of attraction from women. You know, I don't know, dude. Golly. It's the 25th of Feb now. I'm trying to get the K Coastal Herbator developed. That's a friend sending me a reel. And that's the battery telling me that it's going to die soon. I'm trying to get the Faux-Physical Cape Coastal Reverberator V1 developed within the 25 days that the developer says he can get it done. I'd love to do that. You know, once that's done, dude, send me PCBs. It's a whole story. I don't feel like I need to go through that right now. Plus, I've gone through it in other videos as well, like the process once development is done. I've gone through that plenty of times, mostly as a way to just keep me focused and just to keep me zoned in and concentrated on my mission. But I know it, dude. I know it like the back of my hand. Print the PCBs, get the enclosures, assemble them, do the marketing. Once that's done, it's like a rinse and repeat thing. That's a very summarized version. There's a whole strategic plan that I feel like who was very strategic in Naruto? Well, a lot of people were. Like, who was like the most strategic in Naruto? Like, wow, you really did that. I feel like Black Zetsu. In terms of strategy, I've thought it through, almost down to the sentences that I want to construct with a lot of the people that I intend to be talking to. Almost to that degree, I've got it, down. But yeah, I'm not gonna flesh that out on here because like I said, this video is 40 minutes now. Yeah, I enjoy making these videos. You already know that. Yeah. I guess I kind of brought up the whole 25 days until development is complete thing because I did want to get to the point of how like I would like to go to Johannesburg when I'm quote unquote the man, as I like to say, just so I could tap in with these people who don't really care for me. Did I tell you guys that it's the same friend from before? Yeah, she did. That's just ignore my text. It's understandable though, because the hell you look like answering another dude's texts on time or at all, even when you've got a man. It just doesn't look good on her end. And then on top of that, she's just not very social on social media. I believe when I was talking to her, she didn't have a man in 2023. Wow. Just saying that kind of hurts my flipping soul a bit. Wow. Wow. Because now I'm thinking about the case of me just getting a different girl. Say I don't land her, right? I'm obviously gonna want a girl that kind of looks like her because she is my type. Like I said in the previous video, I was interested in girls that I was mostly, not exclusively, but mostly interested in girls that like look like her. But now, that look is going to be pretty much tied to her, and I'm not going to be able to disassociate or like sever the two, the look of her and whatever my type, I guess. What am I even talking about? I am a rooster.
I came in this game,
Made noise.
woke niggas up early.
I am a rooster.